What is up, Black world? What is up, YouTube world? What is up, all my readers out there? If you're tuning in again with me, you're here for another Black book review, and I have another gem for you.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man?
We have Black on Black violence, the psychodynamics of Black self-annihilation in service of white domination. This book has got me a lot of stares. I'm gonna say that if you read this in public, you're gonna get a lot of stares. People are gonna wanna know what you're reading. And it was published in 1990, okay? But it's still very relevant today. Let's talk about why this book is relevant. I got some stats from 2010, and these are from the Department of Justice. The stats talk about Black criminality. In 2010, per 100,000 white people you would round up, per 100,000, 450 of them would be in prison. Of that population, of that 100,000. If you round up 100,000 Hispanics, 831 of them would be in prison. But if you round up 100,000 Black people, 2,306 of them would be in prison. Everybody knows somebody who's been in prison. If not you yourself, somebody in your family. And what made me curious was how did all these Black people end up in prison? Like, how did we get there? It only led me to two specific avenues. One was Black people were born with some type of criminal behavior already instilled in them, which I don't believe. And the other one is there are forces at work to nudge and help Black people into criminality. The thesis of this book is that the operational existence of Black on Black violence in the United States is psychologically and economically mandated by the white dominated status quo. So what he's saying is that white supremacy has a vested interest in Black people going to jail, committing crimes, because there's money in it. It talks about the creation of the Black criminal, dreams without means, which basically goes into how economically we were kept from competing on the level of white society. However, we were still chasing that American dream, which many of us could not get a piece of. So this book is by no means meant to take responsibility from the individual. If you commit a crime, that's a crime that you commit. However, when you look at rap music and how crime is glorified, when you look at the TV shows that we're starred in, and you can see how we're dope dealers, we're drug pushers, we're, you know, in our music we're pimps and macs, and where we play in all the vices, and that kind of music is peddled to us. And you have to realize who is peddling it to you and why. If you had a Black guy get in front of the camera and talk about, I want reparations, or I want to right the wrongs that were done by slavery, that music is not going to get pushed by white America. But if you get a Black man in front of the camera talking about, oh, I'm a drug dealer, I did this, I had to run up them bands, and this is how I did it, that story is going to get pushed to the youth, right? So whenever you see and this to caveat on that, whenever you see Black people doing anything good, a lot of times it's either entertainment or sports, which is another form of entertainment. You know what I mean? The doctors and scientists and things like that. I've seen maybe one or two stories that made it to the big screen about a Black doctor or, you know, an African scientist. But every time you see us in the screen, it's for entertainment purposes. They also talk about Black on Black violence to oneself, which is suicide, which is something that's not talked about a lot in the Black community, as well as mental health. It's very serious, and it is a form of Black on Black crime. Dr. Wilson goes into all of these things in depth. This book is going to arm me with the knowledge so I can better prepare them for what the world is preparing for them. I like the fact that he doesn't just come with the issues that is facing Black America, but he's also coming with solutions. On a readability scale, the book is about an 8 out of 10, and that's more on the 10 being the hardest, 1 being the easiest. It's about an 8 because he uses a lot of words that are maybe found more in psychology books. So I wasn't well versed in them, so when I read the book, I had to have a dictionary on my phone or next to me so I can reference the dictionary and then bounce back to the book. But after about the first 2 chapters, I didn't need to have the dictionary there because I started seeing the words over and over again and can piece out what the sentences mean. So keep that in mind. It can be dry sometimes. I read this book while I'm reading another book. I just finished it. So it took me maybe 2 to 3 weeks to finish this book. I was reading it on the way to school. But it's a great book, and it's something that needs to be talked about. Black on black criminality needs to be talked about in where it stems from. Not only on a scale of personal responsibility, but on a scale of America's responsibility. I would like to hear your thoughts on the book. If you read it. I would also like to hear your thoughts on black criminality. Dr. Wilson talks about where the psychology of black criminality comes from. Dr. Wilson talked about black criminality from an economic level as well. What he said was that if you had black people who make up the majority of the prison population stop committing crimes in mass numbers, like let's say we just stopped, there would be a lot of jobs lost because a lot of people get paid when black people commit crimes. All that petty crime, that is a racket within itself. So when you get arrested, you gotta have the cop to police and arrest you. You have to have them down at booking, the sheriff's county office or whatever, who's gonna book you, all the administration, they're gonna handle all the administrative paperwork. When you go to jail, they gotta there's gonna be a company, if it's not run by the state, that's gonna run the prisons, that get paid for that. Then they gotta hire the COs and the prison counselors and everything that goes into it. And now they're giving people like felony probation to where as though you don't even go to prison, you're just on ankle monitor. There's companies that are gonna get paid off the ankle monitor. The probation officers, the parole officers are gonna get paid. The people who run the halfway houses that you're gonna go into, they're gonna get paid. Everybody's gonna get paid, off black criminality. So he's arguing that it's in white folks' best interest to keep black criminality relevant and to keep it flourishing in the black community as long as it's contained, which is very interesting. So like I said, readability about an 8 out of 10. I would highly recommend it for your bookshelf. Black on black violence, the psychodynamics of black self-annihilation in the service of white domination. Go out there and get it. It's available on Amazon. I had to order it. It's for sale by an independent vendor. So you're not gonna find this kind of book in your Borders. You're not gonna find this in your Barnes and Nobles or anything like that. You gotta get it straight from the source. All right, thank you. Peace.
You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for bid during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge by John Mitchell, General Abrams, and Mendel Rivers to eat hog maws confiscated from a Harlem sanctuary. The revolution will not be televised.
It was a dark night. A full supper got me